Hello guys, Ashley here, also to Ashley saying let's do another review. And I know I said yesterday I was going to make a Once You Hear review, but after I did that X-Men video, it was like 52 minutes long. I just felt like, oh my god, that was a lot to go off my chest. So I just thought that I would just wait until today to make it. So we're going to talk about One Tree Hill, and I'm going to talk about Brooke. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite Brooke storylines, and not even that, some of my favorite and some of my least favorite, we're just gonna talk about Brooke. I know Brooke is everyone's fave. I love Brooke too. So I want to talk about one of my personal favorite storylines of Brooke, and that is season 6, her when she was attacked. I don't know if Sophie's rent needed to be due or whatever it was, but this is the best acting Sophie did in this season. The best acting. I personally did like this storyline. They did bring it back in season 9. I really did like the storyline. I thought it was different. It was really good. It wasn't anything too different because they kind of already did this in season 4. But I really did enjoy the storyline with Brooke. I wish the storyline could have been a little bit longer, in my opinion. Her acting performance, the scenes that she had in therapy, if this video was a little bit short, it's because I'm just getting straight into it. I might analyze a little bit, but I think that's why I like it so much. I really like this storyline. It's a really good storyline in One Tree Hill. So I just do that a little bit, a gist of it. People who don't know, don't remember. So in season 6, episode 1, Brooke was attacked in her store. And then right after that, after you've been attacked, Brooke started to become very cold, and she kind of, scared, which is a normal feeling. She was attacked in her store. She was beat up pretty bad. And you see her become a little bit more kind of detached a little bit. She was getting rid of her business, her clothes. She told Peyton to get back her key to her house, to her apartment. And I hate everybody who said Peyton was a bad friend or anything like that. It's like, dude, Peyton was there. Peyton tried to ask Brooke what was going on, and Brooke didn't say anything, which is completely understandable. In a situation like that, it's not just easy telling someone that you've been attacked. But the things that her and Peyton did have when she did tell Peyton, I really love that. I feel like it is things like that that make people forget of how good friends they really are, or their friendship. I really feel like people think because the Lucas thing that it made them really bad friends. And to me, I think that is just not true. Yes, I would say outside the Lucas thing, that was really the only time they were never really friends to each other, was the Lucas thing. But outside of that, I've always loved how they were able to talk it out, get their aggression out, and just become friends, and realize that what's really important is us being friends. I know a lot of people like Brooke and Haley. Like I told y'all, I have a lot of What You Hear topics to talk about. There are so many What You Hear topics. I know a lot of people love Brooke and Haley's friendship, but if I'm going to be honest with y'all, after seasons 3 and 4, I don't remember much of their friendship. I couldn't really tell you what the friendship was like in season 7 or 8. I don't remember Brooke being there for Haley when Haley was going through her depression. What was Brooke at? I know Haley had a wedding speech for her. Everybody else took oversay the friendship of the show, but the real friendship, it's I think that's reaching. Just because nothing ever came in between them doesn't make them a little bit better. It's more realistic to show that sometimes things do come in between friends. I know people say it's more hectic to not let it, but it's come on, you've been friends with somebody, and you cannot sit here and tell me that nothing's ever got in between your friendship. Not even just a boy, something's got in between our friendship. You can't sit here and tell me that it never has. But me personally, I just like Peyton and Brooke's friendship. I feel like that friendship was really cute, honestly, really cute. I definitely think sometimes in the podcast it disturbs me that they don't talk about what made them be apart sometimes, but they kind of talk about it like it's a love story, like they're coming back to each other, which I can understand why they see it that way, because no matter what, they're always there for each other. But I feel like it would be nice for them to talk about what really kept them away from being friends was them not admitting how they really felt the whole time, honestly. Peyton never told Brooke how she really felt, and Brooke damn sure never told Peyton or Lucas how she really felt. But I've already made a video about their friendship. So if you want to listen to it, go ahead and listen to it. Me personally, I love their friendship. I always have. But I feel like things like this, feel like people just forget of how good they were to each other, because for Peyton to listen and tell Brooke that I'm here for you no matter what, you don't ever have to be afraid to tell me anything. I just thought it was really cute, it was really sweet, it was really genuine. But back to the storyline. The stuff with Sophie was really good. When she told Peyton about what really happened about her falling down the steps, and you could really tell that she was lying, and the way that she grabbed the ice packet out of the fridge and, you know, looked into the camera. The other scene too with her and Peyton, when they were talking about Angie and she said she really don't want to talk about it, and she said you're a good person, she said you're loyal to your friends, and when she said you're a good person and bad things happen to you anyway, what's the point? I think of like Sophie is really tugging at the strings. She's really tugging at the strings. The scenes of therapy, the scene for her and her mother Victoria in season 6, which is another video that I will be making about why I think Brooke and Victoria's storyline is what Nathan and Dan should have had, but it felt so rushed by the end of the series for Nathan and Dan. I will get to Brooke and Victoria, that will be a separate video. But the scene with her Victoria when she went there and she wanted to see if her mom was behind the attacking, and she said no. Eventually telling her that she never wanted a kid, she never wanted Brooke. But when she got pregnant, her father did want a son, and when he didn't want a son, it was kind of like resentment. I think her mother always held resentment at Brooke because she couldn't have what she wanted, which was a fashion line, business. And I thought that's just personally unfair. The way that she treated Brooke with no love, no compassion, no real genuineness, it didn't feel like they were mother and daughter. It felt like they were business partners and everything. And, you know, she telling Brooke that she's way too emotional as a person, which is really crazy that Brooke is so emotional since she came from a very broken home, which you would honestly, kids that come from broken homes, they're kind of expected to be a little bit more emotional. When for Brooke to hear that her mother never wanted her, and it's gotta be hard for anybody, but for her to tell Brooke that I gave you life and you should be appreciating me, I definitely understood where it's coming from. Now I know it's not my fault. It was never my fault. You not loving me was never something that I did. It was because you got married and you didn't get what you wanted, and you took it out on me. When she gave her mother the business, it was just her not wanting it. I think Brooke was, the attack took control on her. I think she was just, you know, kind of like giving up. She kind of just felt like it's all gone. What is the point of fighting for it if it's gone? The scene at the funeral when she walked up to Jamie and they put the red cape down on the casket for Clay, that scene was so good. Like, I'm going to try to talk about it without my voice cracking, because that scene was really good. Like, I'm getting teary-eyed talking about it. That scene was really good with Jamie and Brooke. You know, her just, you know, finally just letting it out, how she felt about everything. Like, it was just really good. And like I said, Sophie was really delivering with this storyline. Like I said, she knew the assignment and she got to nail that shit. The scene with her and Jamie by the casket for Clay, not Clay, Quentin, sorry. So Quentin's funeral was absolutely great. I loved it. The scene with her in therapy were amazing. With her saying that I just feel like I'm stuck standing still and everyone else is moving on. Everyone else is finding their happiness. Everyone else is having a family. Everyone else is getting married. And what do I have? I felt that, if you're somebody and you're watching everyone else in your friend group getting married and having kids, and you just felt like, what do I have? All I have is a business and a big house. I'm alone. I'm truly and infinitely alone. Brooke was really alone. I think what she really wanted was, what she really wanted and what she truly deserved was love. And I felt like, yeah, we know that Lucas and Peyton did her wrong. But like I said, I think some people tend to forget that she played a part in it, which I'm going to say that she played a part in it. It should be said the friendship first. I don't care how people feel. That's the fact. But there's no denying that Brooke deserved it. She deserved it. She deserved love. She deserved to be happy. And I felt like she was running away from it for so long because of her childhood. I think it wasn't just Lucas. It was her childhood in general. She didn't have a good childhood because she was never loved by her parents. And when her therapist asked her, why do you proceed to live life alone? I thought her therapy session was really good. The first therapy session when she said that she didn't want her mom to love her, and she said that's something that you still want, and she didn't answer it. Of course. No matter how much you might hate your parents, what you want is for them to love you, for them to see you. Of course that's what Brooke wants. And for her to say that it wouldn't matter to her if her mom was dead, and how crazy, how messed up is that to know that you wouldn't be sad if you lost your mother. I honestly thought Sophie was, I'm thinking like, she is delivering it here. And then, to me, I feel like they dropped the storyline when Sam came into the picture. And for anyone who knows me, I did not like the Sam storyline when Brooke and Sam. I didn't like it. It felt forced. I didn't really feel the chemistry between Brooke and Sam. If I sound different, it's because my nose is stuffy. But I just didn't see the chemistry between her and Sam. I didn't buy into the dynamic. And it just seemed completely pointless knowing that Sam went to go move back to go find her her real mom and make things right, which I'm not mad at. But I feel like I would have preferred if she would have get Angie back. I feel like it would have just been nice to focus on her overcoming the attack. I feel like the attack storyline kind of really took a back seat once Sam moved in. And Jamie stopped having interactions with Lucas and Brooke after they decided to make him and Dan this entire thing, to have him and Dan hang out. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that, of Jamie not having any more interactions with Brooke or Lucas once Dan came to the picture. I really didn't like that, didn't jig with it. Yeah, I just don't like the Sam storyline, which I will get more in depth with, giving a little bit of a background story of how it came about. But I'm not a fan of the Brooke and Sam storyline. I know a lot of people say they feel like it's an underrated storyline in the show. Me personally, I just didn't care for it. It went on for way too long in my opinion. I think it would have made a lot more sense for Sam to move in with Nathan and Haley. That would have made a lot more sense to me. But I feel like I think they just wanted to give Brooke something outside of the attack storyline. I just feel like, no, just have the attack storyline go on a little bit longer, in my opinion. That's what I would have done. What else? And then we get to her and Julian, which that is a whole separate video. I do not like her and Julian. I never bought into the chemistry, and I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to save the rest of it for their video. But my thoughts on this storyline with Brooke is that I thought it was really good. It is personally my favorite Brooke storyline in the entire show. I would say this. I like this storyline. The stuff on her mom, her not being able to have kids was pretty good. I like the stuff in season 5 too with Angie a lot. That scene when she had to give Angie away and she always breaks down crying in the airport. Ooh, child. Ooh. Gets me every single time when I watch it. I tell myself when I go cry and I end up crying my eyes out when she gives Angie up. Yeah, well, there are some high school Brooke storylines that I like. You know, the whole horror Lucas thing. Even though it stressed me out, I did like it because of the drama. I like the stuff for her becoming class president. Um, I like the stuff for her season 3 too, where her trying to get her clothing line up on its foot. I really did like it. But me personally, I really like adult Brooke storylines a little bit more because they seem more in depth. Not saying that her high school storylines weren't in depth enough, but actually there's nothing bad about her high school storylines. I just prefer her adult storylines more. I just can't say anything bad about high school Brooke. Because I love high school Brooke, except for season 4. I hate season 4 Brooke with a passion. She was a total bitch to everyone, and just a total bitch to everyone. But I really do like this storyline, the attack storyline with Brooke. And you know, she actually did find out who her attacker was in season 6 when she had to rescue Sam. He went to jail, and then he came back in season 9, and she still fought him off, which was really good. This storyline is an A+ for me. I thought Sophia Bush did a great job with her acting, and you know, she tried to bury this storyline too in the podcast, saying that it was going back and watching it, it was just really out of line and unneeded, which I just feel like whatever. But other than that, this is an A+ storyline. I really love this storyline, and it sucks that they decided to drop it so soon for the Sam stuff and Julian. But this is my thoughts on this storyline. But I do have a star rating storyline. It's about a movie that I watched. But that's my thoughts on the Brooke storyline. I thought it was actually really good, and probably her best storyline to me in the whole show. So I watched some Hugh Jackman movies. You know, I've never really seen a lot of other movies that he's been in outside of the X-Men franchise, and I've seen him in Prisoners, which I thought he does a really excellent job in that movie. But there's other movies I wanted to see him in. You know, he has like a whole bunch of other movies that I've never even heard of. Thinking like, you know, I've always loved Hugh Jackman. So, you know, that's why I go watch the movies. So, I've seen, I'm still going down the list of when he first started. The first movie that he did in 1995, I could not find it. I can't find it anywhere to watch. So, I will talk about that movie. But the two movies I want to talk about is Someone Like You and Swordfish. I want to talk about Swordfish first because this movie was just everywhere. I don't even know what to say about this movie. It was like a heist film, but I thought it was just like all over the place. You know, he was in prison for 2 years for, you know, robbing a bank. His ex-wife is a quote-unquote, she does stuff inappropriate online. I don't want to get demonetized by saying we all know what she does, but I'll just say that. She makes home movies. I'll just say that. His ex-wife makes home movies. And, you know, she doesn't want him to see his daughter because he was in prison, which is like, girl, you're an alcoholic and you do home movies. You think you're a better parent. So Halle Berry's in this movie. Can't tell you why she's here. I guess she's just here to look good in her underwear and her thong panties and her bra. She looked good in this movie. I'll give it that. That's probably why I watched it, honestly, because I really couldn't tell you what the plot is about. Like, I instantly shut my brain off because it's just like, what is the plot? It just felt like it was a whole bunch of just nonsense going on. So, that's not a movie that I recommend. If you want to watch it for the chaoticness, then okay. But there really is no plot in this movie for Fish. But, Hugh Jackman did look delicious in this movie. He looked so good. Ooh, I know I'll drop my, you know what, for him in any minute. But that's how I feel about Swordfish. It's just a confusing, chaotic mess, and I don't even understand what the plot number was. So, Someone Like You. Ugh. I watched this movie yesterday, and I have so many things to talk about this movie. This movie stars Hugh Jackman. He plays a character named Eddie, and it stars Hugh Jackman and Ashley Judd. I don't really know much about Ashley Judd. I've only seen her in this movie and in Heat, which is personally one of my favorite films, Heat, in 1995. Her name is Jane Jane is looking for love. She falls for this guy. Things don't go right. You know, she gives her apartment up for him. It don't end well. He breaks her heart. You know, she's taking it really, really to heart, which is, of course, she was emotionally invested. And so she moves in with Eddie. Eddie is looking for someone to help him make the rent. So she moves in with him. But Eddie is a womanizer. He hooks up with other different women every night because he went through a bad relationship that didn't end well. And I guess he's pulling his heart off to love. So he decided to, you know, work himself around in Manhattan. You know, he's promiscuous. So they move in and they do this forced, oh, it was you the whole time. I didn't realize what I had right in front of me garbage. But this entire movie, there is no chemistry between her and Eddie. It honestly feels like a friendship that the writers forced to make a relationship. Like, completely. They have no chemistry. And not only that, Hugh Jackman barely plays a role in this movie. Like, you don't see him until, like, the second half of this film where she moves in with him. You know, he's telling her to get over it, and that when people go through breakups, it either makes them or breaks them. You know, some people choose to live in fantasy, and some people choose to go into the reality of it. So Jane, when she was in with Eddie, she decides to start writing a catalog secretly online about men being horrible. So they turned her into a Karen in this movie, which I personally did not like. And that all comes from her friend. She listens to her dumbass friend giving her this horrible advice about doing it. You can't write articles about men not being shit when you secretly want to have a man. You want a boyfriend. She wants to be in love, which is nothing wrong with that. I don't mind her writing about the experiences that she had with her ex because he did play her. He waited till she got emotionally invested and then he said, I didn't take a step back. After she gave her apartment lease up to move in with you? Crazy. That was crazy work. So she writes an article about it, and everyone is trying to figure out who's writing the article, and everything like that. And then she finds out that the guy that she was dating is dating their boss, which really fucks her up. She gets even more mad about it. But I'm trying to remember what else happened in this movie because I watched it yesterday, and this movie is pretty forgetful. It is a generic rom-com, and I hate romantic comedies, which is why when I went into it, I knew I wasn't going to like it because I usually do not like romantic comedies. I'm more of a romantic person. I like romantic movies. What else happened in this film? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she finds out that he's in a shit with her boss who runs the TV show. She gets mad and there's another scene at the New Year's party where actually it's a scene before that. They make plans to talk it out and try to see if they can work it out. Only for her to, this is before she found out he was in shit with her boss. So she waiting for him to call and, see if they can make it work. And Eddie is telling her that why she's doing this to herself, why she's torturing herself, or waiting for his phone call. I'm just thinking, like, he is in no position to give anyone advice to do anything. Dude, my guy. I understand you're heartbroken. You do whatever you want with your heartbreak. If you choose to be promiscuous, okay. You choose to be a womanizer, alright. But you are in no position to tell anybody how to deal with their heartbreak when, honestly, you haven't dealt with your shit either. So, like she said, coming for the person who's throwing themselves around all Manhattan. You're going to give me advice on how to deal with my heartbreak? My heartbreak. Get the fuck out of here. So, when he saw her at the New Year's party, he ran after her, trying to chase her down, trying to make sure she was alright. Because she started breaking down in the middle of the New Year's party because everyone was booted up. And, she waited all night for him to show up and take her there, and he never showed up. Only for her to find out, like I said again, that he's dating their boss. Ugh, this movie is such a drag to talk about. I'm going to get through this as soon as possible. And then her and Eddie get into a big argument when he said that she has no right writing those type of articles about men like that. when not all men are like that and everything like that. And he says she's living in a delusional land where I think that all men are like that. And then he said, why is she acting like this? And she said, because I was happy with him, I loved him. And so she started breaking down, and it was a really, I would say this is probably the only scene that felt like genuine between them. And he was telling her that she's beautiful, she's real, she's intelligent, and any man would be lucky to see that. She breaks down in his arms. The next scene they do, them holding hands, sleeping. And, he kind of just lays right there, and, they do the whole, well, I never laid in the bed with a girl without, sleeping with her first type of thing. They both wake up. She tells Eddie that she don't want this to change anything between them, their friendship. And he said, why would it change anything? She said because she knows who he is, she knows what he's about. And he said it isn't about who he is, it's about who she is. That she's writing those articles because she's afraid to be in a relationship again. And then at the end of the movie, they just kiss randomly. Like, it made no sense for them to kiss. It made no sense for them to hook up. None of it made any sense when I watched it. Like I said, if you think they had chemistry, okay. But to me, I feel like I didn't feel any chemistry. It felt like a friendship. Like we're friends. Like, him confronting her, that scene was genuine. But it felt like he was just being a friend. Like, it didn't feel like, I can understand sleeping in the bed together and y'all hold hands, but it's like, it doesn't need to be a relationship. I feel like Eddie should have been there for her and her trying to gain her confidence back. They really didn't like that. It really makes sense to me that she would fall for him. I mean, knowing like how promiscuous he is. Like, I'm not saying because someone's promiscuous you can't fall for them, but I just feel like that's like something that should be like alarming. Like, she saw him bring 3 different girls into his house 3 different nights in a row. It's like, whoa, and now you tell me you ready for a relationship? And I just don't like storylines like, oh, you're different from the rest. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I understand that when you're not ready for a relationship. If something will make you feel ready, I think it's all about that genuine connection. But still, it is kind of alarming when someone is like, I'm only doing this with you. I'm not like that with any other girls, anything like that. Like, it is pretty alarming, and I just didn't like this movie. I think it's another Hugh Jackman movie that I just genuinely did not like. And he has like 2 other movies that are like romantic, like comedy romances that are like this. I'm watching the other one called Paperback Hero. So far, I actually genuinely like this movie. Paperback Hero, but it's another one too with him and Meg Ryan, I believe, that I want to watch, and then I will discuss them. So to me, I give this movie a solid 6 out of 10 because the plot wasn't terrible, but I just feel like the movie was not well written. It wasn't well written. Jane as a character, she was okay until they tried to make her into a Karen. Eddie is a character they really didn't give too much depth to. Like, he talked about his ex-girlfriend Rebecca and how that ended very horrible. And then he sees his ex-girlfriend again, and then it's like no mention of that at all. There's no depth of it. About, he doesn't really go into why they broke up, from my remembering. The movie is okay. The only thing that's worth going back to the movie is that Hugh Jackman looked delicious in this movie. He looked good. He looked great. He looked yummy in my motherfucking movie. He looked good. But other than that, I just don't like romantic comedies. I really do not like them because they're very, very bad. Like, they're terrible. Like, really bad. They would do something where like they almost feel rushed to me. Like, they just feel rushed. Like, you got these 2 characters who don't show any real genuine chemistry or any real interest in each other, and then all of a sudden they just want each other. It makes like no sense to me. None. Absolutely no sense. So those are my thoughts on the movie / One Tree Hill. I will try to do more rants next weekend. But if I don't, I mean I'm shopping because I get paid this week, so I will be doing some shopping. I was gonna try to fit 2 rents in, but honestly, it's Sunday. I'm trying to relax before I go back to work tomorrow. So I will see y'all next time, and y'all have a good one.